He's getting older.
Hello there.
Oh, hit the full button.
But not wiser.
Everybody has affinity for cock.
This is the Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show, episode number 25. Triumphant 25. We are a quarter of the way to 100 episodes, and I think that is a momentous occasion. And I thank all of you for being here with me, your host, Lefty, for the Lefty Show, episode number 25. Today is Friday, the 30th of May, in the year of our spaghetti monster, 2014. Welcome, one and all, to the Lefty Show. I thank you all for watching on YouTube, liking and favoriting there. I thank you all for donating. Heading on over to imraising.com/643 Productions. There's a link in the description if you want to donate, help out with studio expenses, and in the coming future hosting costs. That's where you go to imraising.com/643 Productions. A link in the description, and generous donations are greatly appreciated. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show with your friends, your family, your coworkers. I've seen a lot of talk of the show on r/PKA, which is not the place to talk about. I mean, if you want to talk about the Lefty Show, they're fine, but linking to episodes there, unless it's PK related, you're gonna get clipped. The mods are gonna get you. They're usually pretty good about that kind of stuff, and find another place to talk about the Lefty Show. You can talk about it with me on Twitter at Lefty643. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter there. Again, that's at Lefty643. Speaking of donations, quick update. I did probably my first good positive news story ever. I don't think I've ever done one that was positive. The puppy one, the puppies that had been or the beagles, or I think they were beagles. The beagle dogs that had been released from from some kind of testing facility was like neutral, because it started off like, oh my God, it was such a great video. It moved me emotionally, tugged at the heartstrings, all that stuff. And then I had to, as I do sometimes, as I can't help but do sometimes, I had to say, well, wait a minute, let's talk about, the kind of the underlying thing of that video. And let's talk about why it doesn't make much sense, because, who's going to do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to have shampoo put in your eyes to see if it stings? No? Well, then we're going to have to do something. There's nothing there. So it was like neutral, but the only positive one, like purely positive, no negatives, was the Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton trying to bring Reading Rainbow back as a web series, maybe to YouTube or something like that. Anyway, trying to raise funds on Kickstarter, wanted $1 million. Wanted $1 million raised, more than $2 million already raised for the return of Reading Rainbow, starring LeVar Burton. So good on everybody. If you heard it on my show, you saw it on Reddit, wherever you saw it, if you went and you clicked and you donated, good for you. I really look forward to the return of Reading Rainbow, even though it's going to be children's books. LeVar Burton reads A Brief History of Time on Reading Rainbow. I'd watch that. I totally would. Or what's Krause's book? Oh, geez, what's Krause's book? I forget. I have it. It's tucked away somewhere. I forgot what it is. But anyway, Lawrence Krause's books, that'd be great. Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton. He puts on, what if LeVar Burton put on the Geordie LaForge visor and then read a Lawrence Krause or Stephen Hawking book? Or shit, even Michael Green. Teach us about string theory or something. But I want him in character as Geordie LaForge. I mean, I love LeVar Burton. I do. But if you're going to be reading to me about the intricacies and the beautiful nature of our universe and how it works, I want Geordie LaForge teaching me all those things. So here's what I want. As part of the $2 million raised, maybe if they get to 3, this can be a thing. LeVar Burton, at $3 million in this Kickstarter, will get on camera as Geordie LaForge and read us A Brief History of Time. Not Black Holes and Baby Universes, because that was proved to be impossible. Stephen Hawking lost that bet. But I think A Brief History of Time is still pretty good. Michael Green's book on string theory and The Grand Design, Stephen Hawking's new book. Shit, that's a great place to do it. That was a really nice book. I would love LeVar Burton in Geordie LaForge character at $3 million of the Kickstarter. Read me something on that level as Geordie LaForge. Let's make it happen, right? Who's the creator of Star Trek's dead, right? His estate can't hold much weight with the intellectual property. Fucking do it, man. You don't even have to make money off of it. Just read me stuff about the universe as Geordie LaForge. I want Geordie LaForge to teach me something. So good job, Internet. Positivity all around. Good for all of you. Yay!
Pour some sugar on me.
I don't know what that had to do with anything. It seemed uplifting. In my head, the pour some sugar on me drop seemed pretty uplifting at the time, although maybe that's not the case. Anyway, did I get through the intro? I think everybody for sharing, everybody liking, favoriting, donating, imraising.com. Yeah, we got through the intro. Now on to the monologue section of the show. Breaking the fourth wall, breaking the wall, breaking the wall. Oh my God, that's a great parody. Write it down. Writing it down. In video production, is it Anthrax? Breaking the Law? Not sure who did. Breaking the Law, but instead of breaking the law, rewrite it as breaking the wall, and it's a song about breaking the fourth wall. I love it. Oh my God, I'm a genius. Anyway, there was no That's Not Why I Called yesterday. I talked about it in the Lefty show, and I talked about it a little bit on Twitter. Katie and I went shopping for cars for her, and not brand new, just a certified pre-owned car, whatever. Used car, okay? Not pre-owned. I mean, yes, pre-owned is technically correct, but used. It's a used car. It's lesser in value. Like, oh, pre-owned, it's not as bad. No, it's fucking used. Especially this car. So we go see a car, and it didn't happen. It didn't. I'll tell you I'll tell the story, I guess, partly in reverse. It didn't work out. They were, again, as in most cases, for whatever reason, they were inflexible on the price. So this car was like $17,000 flat. It was $16,994, but let's just call it 17 G's, 36,000 or 35,000 miles, whatever, right? And it's a beautiful car, Hyundai, some kind of Hyundai, something. And we went to go see it. A beautiful car. Loved the interior. Loved all the extras, the features. Katie was driving it because it's Katie's car, or it was supposed to be Katie's car. And the salesman was like, we took it for a test drive, or she took it for a test drive, and I was in the front passenger seat, and the salesman was in the back seat. And at about the halfway point of our test drive, the guy was like, he looked at me like, do you want to drive it? And I said, well, no. It's not my car. This isn't meant to be my car. It's meant to be her car. It matters not what I think about how it drives or how it handles. The kind of problems that you would glean from a test drive would be apparent to anybody. If the wheel's shaking in your hands when you're going straight, you're, oh shit. I'm not going to be like, well, it's in third gear after accelerating out of a tight corner. It's a little sloppy on the automatic transmission shift. I think it might need some more transmission fluid or anything like that. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? So I said, no, I mean, it's her car. And I tried to be that way throughout the whole procedure. I was again, second chair. I know a little bit more about negotiating for cars, I would guess, now than Katie, but it's her car. It's her deal. Her money, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, it's your show. You do it. I'll help if you ask, but I'm not going to try to go in there like, hey, big stoker, yeah, I'm going to negotiate for my girlfriend. That's what I do. I know what I'm doing. You talk to me, not her. I wasn't going to do that because it's her deal. Let her do it. Not let her twist in the wind. I would step in if I think she was doing something wrong or going to get screwed, but I didn't want to. It seemed chauvinistic, I guess. I didn't want to appear chauvinistic, like, this is man's work, baby. You just step aside and let me do what I do. I didn't want to do that. But They wanted 17 G's for this car, and we go to see it, and there's fucking the brushed aluminum look. I mean, if you Google image search brushed aluminum and just look at what that looks like, there was a good square foot section of the top of the trunk lid that looked like that. It was as if the car was a darker like color. It was as if somebody had taken steel wool to buff out the car, not realizing that it's fucking steel wool, and they're taking it to the trunk of the car. There was no other way I could explain it. It wasn't dust, just arranged just so. It needed to be buffed out, and I'm like, well, that's fucking shit. That's awful. Then there's there's dings and chunks missing on the rear bumper. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like somebody had been running into it with shopping carts at high speeds, like it was like on the Jackass set or something. So I was like, okay, the rest of the car was all right, whatever. And $17,000 is what they wanted. Now, I know, what the fuck do I know about how much that damage is worth? I don't know, but I know it's not $17,000. And when we were talking, doing the negotiating, when we got into the dealership, Katie communicated to me that she wanted my help. And I said, well, I looked at the guy and said, well, can we talk about the price? Because, there's some things wrong with it. I saw the dings. I saw the scratches on the hood or the trunk lid. We got to talk about the price. And the guy looked at me. He's like, well, what do you want to talk about? Like accusatory. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you want to talk about the price? I said, well, there's some things that are wrong. She loves the car, but there's some things wrong with it. The guy's like, well, it's internet price. It's a pretty aggressive price. I said, okay. Well, you didn't tell me about all this shit that was wrong with the car. And it got to the point the guy went on the internet. It's like, see, it's even this much below market value. And I said, well, yeah. But market value doesn't include fucking steel wool scratches on the trunk lid of the car and chunks of the rear bumper that are gouged and, scratched up. That's not market value. And the guy was just like inflexible on the price. Like he looked at me like, what's wrong with you that you don't want to pay me this amount of money for this car? It's priced to move again, all over again. He didn't say that, but it was just like, all right. Well, no deal then. You got nothing. The damages you're talking about that we've seen on the car that are there, he didn't want to talk about it when I pointed it out. That's not a $17,000 car. That's a $16,000 car maybe. On a good day, if I didn't see that, if all I saw was the chunks on the rear bumper and I didn't see the scratches on the fucking lid of the trunk, $16,000 car maybe. But anyway, the price doesn't matter. But the point is this, is that when you're negotiating for a car, because here's the deal, negotiating for a car is probably something you only do a few times in your life. It's not like going to the store. You go to the store once a week, 1.5 times every 2 weeks. You probably average a trip to the store 1.5 times every 2 weeks. Or the over-under on the amount of trips, the over-under line on your trip, the amount of trips to the store every 2 weeks is 1.5. That's the line. You got to pick. Whole numbers, by the way. No decimals or fractions. Or fraction, right? Well, not 1.25, but 1.25, I guess. So you only do it once a few times in your life. And I'm going to try to, with my limited knowledge, again, very limited knowledge on negotiating with cars, I'm going to try to help you out just a little bit so that you don't have to, because how many times are you going to negotiate for a car in your life? 4 maybe? Maybe? 5? I don't know. I mean, it's not like back in the day where a car would last 60,000 miles, 70,000 miles, and you throw it away, get a new one for $15,000. These cars last forever. They last forever now. Hundreds of thousands of miles. And what do you put on a car a year? 20,000 miles, maybe. So you get what? If a car's got 200,000 miles of life in it, that's 8 years. Or no, that's 10 years. How many times are you going to buy? So anyway, you don't want to use up. You have a limited supply of negotiating attempts and buying a car. And your first one or two are going to be learning. You're going to learn about what it's like to negotiate with a salesman. Actually negotiate. And, you know, those things about used car salesmen and somebody selling you something and making you believe that that you're getting the fucking deal. This is the greatest thing ever. I have to buy this. I would be stupid not to buy this. Listening to the spiel, you can't help but think, oh man, this is the greatest fucking deal I've ever heard of. I've got to buy this. That's fucking true. That's how they are good at that. It's not nefarious. It's not nefarious. They're not trying to necessarily screw you. Sometimes you are going to get a good deal. You know, powertrain warranties, this or that, financing, low rates, money is cheap. Those are all very true things. But when they rapid fire machine gun, this is good, this is good, this is good, that's great, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you're like, oh my, yes, here's my money, take it. I can't not do this. That's how great the deal is. So you got to be careful, because I even found myself when this guy was talking about like this and that, and you get the balance of the bumper-to-bumper warranty and blah, 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 and Hyundai's got this new financing thing. I'm like, holy shit, dude. All right. And he's like, and it's certified. So they went through and blah, blah, blah. And I caught I'm like, just like the space shuttle, right? They took it apart and put it back together again. He's like, ha, ha, ha. But even I was like, oh my goodness, this is fucking like it's buying a new car. Oh my God, it's amazing. I thought, wait a minute. Wait. Huh? Stop it. No, something is wrong here. This guy, and that's something that people need to understand, is that they try to say aggressive pricing, price to move, no haggle price, right? We're going to price it so low, you don't even need to haggle. We would normally price it more, but we're gonna cut out all that bullshit, and this is what you get now. And what you need to realize, I found, and I'm sure my buddy Kyle, who was actually a car salesman, can corroborate this. What you need to realize is that no matter what the price is, it's very, 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 very rare that you are screwing the dealer or that you're getting it at cost. You're getting the car at cost. It's not going to happen. It's just not. You might, unless you know the guy, unless it's a family friend or a family member, even then, probably not so much if they work at a franchise dealership, at an auto group. You know, if it's some guy in a plaid suit jacket and a shitty suit and a wrinkled shirt and tie, maybe, yeah, he's like, all right, go ahead and take it for cost, whatever I got on it. Whatever I'm into it for, that's what you get. But in a big dealership, you're not getting, no. Despite what they say, invoice. I'm going to give it to you for invoice, below invoice. Ooh, below invoice. Oh my God, below invoice pricing. I'm getting the greatest deal alive. I can't not buy this car now. I must. Big voice guy is back. Hey, big voice guy. Hey, how's it going? I'm here to talk about new cars. Oh, really? Yeah, you cutting a promo? No, I'm just talking about it. I do a lot of work with car dealerships. Oh, okay. So what have you learned? There's no such thing as invoice pricing. What do you mean? Think about it. If they gave you everything, if everybody was able to get a car below invoice pricing, how would they pay for anything they have? How are they even a solvent business? Does that make any sense at all? Well, no, now that you mention it. Exactly. They can't not be operating at a loss. They can't be. It's impossible. Because they have the real estate. They have the lights. They have the employees. Oh, I get it. So what you're saying is that despite what you say on the promos on the radio and on TV, exactly, below invoice pricing on the new Ford, Dodge, truck, Jeep, Ram, Cherokee, bumper to bumper. Despite what you say on that, you're saying that even though you say, or the dealership says through you, that, oh my God, I'm getting the greatest deal below invoice pricing, they're actually taking a loss on it. There's absolutely no way that could be true, because if it were true for even a majority of sales, even a simple majority of sales, they'd be fucked and they wouldn't make a dime. Exactly. There's no goddamn way it is possible. Think about it. Their prices, now, thank you, big voice guy. Don't interrupt me again. I'm sorry. No, you interrupt me all the goddamn time. I only have a certain amount of airtime, and I need to get it done now. Okay, all right, look, thank you for coming in to the studio and helping us. Again, you're interrupting me. Dude, just stop, okay? We'll go, just stop. I get it. Times are tough. You got the Memorial Day thing all over with, and you're just in the recovery phase. Go crawl back inside your bottle, and I'll call you after the show. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thank you, big voice guy. Go fuck yourself. What the fuck, man? Why you got to be such a jackass? Just get out of the studio, dick. So anyway, no matter, they can say aggressive pricing. If I lower this anymore, I'm going to lose money on it. I'm going to you're getting close to invoice price is something they say a lot. And it's just, it sounds good when they say it, but just look around. Look around at the computers with all the freaking software they have that does it all for them. The database and all the people with all the complimentary coffee and drinks and the lights and the detailing and the body work and all the, they've got maintenance facilities and who pays for that? If you are actually getting a car at cost, if you go to and say, all right, well, it's internet price, right? Very aggressive pricing. Give me $500 off. And they say, well, you're cutting, we won't make any money on this deal. If I do that, that's bullshit. Now, again, Kyle would have to properly corroborate this, but it seems likely to me. Here's the big thing. We're talking about invoice pricing or cost, right? When they tell you, the customer, the consumer, the potential buyer, cost, that cost is tremendously different from actual cost. Think of it like an insurance claim. If you have homeowners insurance or renters insurance, whatever, there's a fire and you lose stuff. What are you going to price your 4-year-old plasma TV at? What are you going to price it at? Are you going to price it at what it was 4 years ago when you bought it with the depreciation of a used plasma television? In today's market, is that what you're going to claim? Are you going to say, wow, 4-year-old plasma, it was used a lot, and it was bought for $800 back in the day, so it's probably only worth $300. No, fuck that. You're going to go look at what a plasma TV costs now, a smart, Wi-Fi enabled, with all the fucking bullshit, smart TV, plasma, of course, and you're going to say, this is what I lost. But you didn't actually lose that, did you? No, but you're saying the cost of that fire in relation to the TV is one plasma television. And, unless the insurance company are real assholes, they'll say, well, wait a minute. Well, I want to know what brand, what model, what year, blah, 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 blah. You say one plasma TV. What the fuck, man? It was worth $600, $700. The cost to you was not the actual cost. The cost you listed to the insurance company in the form of the insurance claim is different than the actual real cost to you, which was $300, $400 for a 4-year-old plasma television. And I would assume, because it seems logical, that something similar happens in the car buying world. So when you go to buy a car, first time, second time, whatever, and if they try to say, well, you're we're going to lose money on this, it's probably bullshit. Because that cost, at cost, invoice pricing, probably has all kinds of bullshit built into it. There's profit margin built into the at cost price or the invoice price. The real cost is, or the real price that the dealership is in on the car is probably cost minus the profit margin for the salesman, minus the profit margin for the dealer, minus whatever bullshit they already infused into the, quote, real cost or at cost price. So understand that. Don't let the guy go, I'm going to, Now, you don't want to be a jackass, but you say, look, man, I know you got profit margin. It's reasonable to me that you've got profits built into the at cost price. So if you get to invoice pricing, you're still covering your nut. You're not even covering. You're making a profit. So don't let them say, well, we're getting close to cost pricing here. I'm gonna lose money on this deal pretty soon. It's bullshit. They're making money either way, because if they didn't, it's as simple as If they say, well, we're already giving it to you pretty close to our profit, pretty close to cost, well, you look around and say, oh, really? Who pays the rent on this joint? How do you get new inventory for cars if you're just barely eking out a living on every sale because you're so aggressively priced? Don't let them bully you. Don't let them bully you, especially with bullshit, because it's very, very rare, probably very rare, that you are actually going to get an honest deal, an honest at cost price unless you really know the guy. So it didn't happen. The search continues, and we'll try to get Katie a new car. So anyway, let's get into a little would you rather here. YouRather.com is your source for all your would you rather needs. Would you, Lefty, rather be a centaur or be a mermaid/man? Be a merman. Look, here's the deal. You gotta be a centaur. You've got to be a centaur. A centaur is so fucking cool. I mean, they're both mythical beasts. The mermaid, merman, and a centaur. But a centaur is like a demon of hell. You're half horse, half man. But if you're not even, you're half steroid infused horse, you're half racehorse, half bodybuilder. Not just like half average Joe, half, I don't know, donkey. No, you're half badass motherfucking horse and you're half badass motherfucking human. And on top of all that, anything that's worth doing or anything that's really happening is happening on land. If you're a mermaid, you're a merman, you're in the sea, you're Aquaman. What are you doing? Oh, hey, out here in the beach, what are you going to do? Can't even go on cruise ships. You can't even go on man-made platforms because you'd be floundering like a fish. You can't do that. You're just in the water. Cool. What are you going to go do? Fuck with tourists in Fiji or something? You can't lay on a beach. You'll be flopping around. No. You'll be in the water just kind of chilling. You get to go hang out with people. You breathe underwater, and that's cool, I guess. But, all right, we're just in the water. This is cool. There's garbage floating by. There's a submarine going by. Oh, God, this is lame. But if you're a centaur, you can go anywhere you can go now. And you're doing it like as a fucking badass. Centaur all the way. You got to be a centaur. Would you rather never be able to remember anyone's birthday or anniversary, or forget every historical date from the past and why it was important? Now, that's key. The why it was important thing. Why was, July 4th, 1776? See, exactly. And why it was important. Because remembering birthdays or anniversaries is just such a social bullshit thing. It's one of those social things that we do that's just kind of like, oh, okay, we still do this. Like the idea of celebrating your birthday. What are you really celebrating? Like, hi, I'm older now. Not really much older than I was yesterday. Not really much younger than I'll be tomorrow, but let's all get together. All it is an excuse for family to get together and have a good time with each other, which I'm all for. I am all for family getting together to have a good time with one another. But the idea of a birthday, requiring a birthday to do it, fuck that. That seems, maybe is passive aggressive the right term? I'm not even sure. But it seems that, well, I want to hang out with my family and I want to have a party with them and honor, one person, this person, that person, whatever. I want to do that, but I need a birthday to do it. I need something. It just seems like, hey, let's have a party on Friday. Okay, cool. Let's all give each other presents. Okay, cool. You don't need an artificial reason to do it. Celebrating a birthday is so artificial. It's just, get together with your family and have a good time. Why do we need a birthday to do that? Some of you might say, well, Lefty, you're an atheist who celebrates Christmas for the exact same reason. Why don't you just get together with your family to and celebrate it? And celebrate your family. Why do you need Christmas? Why do you have to hijack Christmas in order to be able to do that? And I say, good on you for paying attention. I'm going to not so artfully sidestep that quip. And it's similar with an anniversary. An anniversary is a relationship celebration. It's a celebration of the date doesn't matter. How long you've been together, it doesn't really matter. It's you and I, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, whatever, we are going to celebrate our relationship. And it's on par with birthdays because we are going to select the day that we became a couple, became an item, as the day that every month or every year we are going to celebrate. And it seems arbitrary because it's like, why that day? Why the day why the day you got together? Why not a really nice day and you plan something really, really nice? Why does it have to be on the day you came together? It seems from the outside rather arbitrary. And so if you would never remember anyone's birthday or anniversary, you could still function and say, look, we don't need birthdays to celebrate family. We don't need an anniversary to celebrate our relationship. I remember we're in a relationship. I just suck at remembering dates. So here we are. Let's just celebrate our relationship whenever we feel like it. Because our relationship is important to me and I want to celebrate it with you, but the date is immaterial. It's not my love for you or our relationship or our happiness as a family is not a function of this arbitrary date. The celebration is a celebration of us being together, of our relationship or our of our family. And so why do we need to make it a function of a date as opposed to just I want to celebrate my relationship or our family because I really like our family or our relationship? But similarly, remembering dates for historical events, what? Okay. What does that really matter? Why do I give a fuck when Paul Revere rode around town yelling the British are coming? Why do I care? What does it matter? I remember that Paul Revere did it, and I remember it was a big deal. And I remember, the Revolutionary War was a big deal. I remember the signing of the Declaration and the ratification of the Constitution. Big deals. But do I really need to remember when they happened? It seems trivial. It is the idea of historical dates is trivial, and it's just a way to measure trivial knowledge in school. It's like, when did this happen? Okay, so what you're doing when you emphasize that is you're creating scholars of trivia. Well, good, I guess. You're really good at remembering dates. Okay, I'm proud of you. But what does it mean? Why is it important? How do we learn from it, make it better, or not make the same mistake? That's the important part. The analytical part is the important part. The trivial knowledge, while cool at times, isn't as important as the critical thinking and analytical phase. Now, the important thing about this Would You Rather is that second part. Forget every historical date from the past and why it is important. That and why it is important indicates to me that you're talking about, like, I don't know when Paul Revere rode, and I don't know why it was a big deal. I don't remember why the Declaration of Independence was signed, nor do I remember why it was a big deal. And that is bad, because now you're killing both. You're killing the trivial knowledge, which again, huh? No, that was the wrong one. All right, let's set it up. Let's set it up properly. Let's set it up properly. You're killing trivial knowledge, which there we go. Killing trivial knowledge, but also you're killing the critical thinking part. You're killing the part where it's like, oh, that's why it was a big deal. That's why it was a big deal that the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Fuck the date, who cares? But the important part is that is when, all right, that's when shit got real. That signals all kinds of stuff, man's conquering of the atomic level, or at least our ability to harness that power. Okay, it's pretty cool. We indiscriminately murdered thousands of civilians in 2 blasts just to kind of test the technology, because we didn't know if Fat Man, or we didn't know what kind of system would work for creating the fission that we wanted. So we had 2 of them, and we dropped them on different sites because we didn't know which one would work. We didn't know whether implosion or just just clapping 2 pieces of uranium together really hard on a rail system. We didn't know. We were like, oh, we don't know which one will work. And so we were like, fuck it, let's test it out on civilians. That's an interesting thing. Why couldn't... I know Hiroshima and Nagasaki did have, quote, strategic war assets in the cities. Right, yeah, I get it, okay? But every city in America, New York has strategic assets. Chicago, L.A., all these places have things that can be deemed strategic assets. Fuck, media outlets can be deemed strategic assets. So would we accept, like, oh, well, all's fair in love and war, strategic asset in New York. Fuck all the millions of civilians that were killed by that nuclear blast. There's a strategic asset, okay. Why couldn't we have just, in America I'm talking about, told Japan, hey, look, Japan, you got this area, right? Here's this area defined by these coordinates. We're going to give you a week's notice, and we want you to clear everybody out of there. Clear everybody out of there. Clear them out. We're not invading. We're not going to invade. Just clear everybody out of there, and here's where you stand. Again, coordinates. Relative to this position, here's where you stand. Post all your observational posts around, and look at this central area. In 1 week's time, look at it, or in the 2 weeks, because you can't say in 1 week's time at 2:00, because then they're gonna, you're still at war, so they're gonna be up there looking for you. But say, sometime, just clear out and post people at these distances around this central point, and again, give them 2 areas, give them 2 spots. And say, these 2 areas, just watch. Just watch. Clear everybody out. Make sure there's nobody there. Just watch. Watch what we can do. And then here comes the Enola Gay. Here comes whatever dropped on Nagasaki. Here comes Fat Man. Here comes Little Boy. Watch that. And space them, give them the coordinates so that their people won't be hurt. And you say, look, do you want more of that? Do you want more? Because we can do it. And next time, we're not going to give you warning. And next time, we're not going to clear you out. We're not going to give you a warning, and we're not going to worry about hurting your people. We'll drop one on fucking Tokyo if we have to. Do you want that? Is that what you want? Because we can do it. Now, I know Fat Man and Little Boy represented pretty much all the fissionable material that the United States had at the time. They even had to buy some from Duke University, I believe. And Fat Man and Little Boy, they had to work. And so if you can make the argument, that if they had to work, you needed the shock and awe of dropping it on a populace. But still, you had 2 of them. You had 2. And you could have said 1 here, and if it doesn't work, fuck it, we'll drop it. Because if they both wouldn't have worked anyway. Now, the argument again is, well, if one wouldn't have worked, well, then blah, 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 blah. But here's the deal. They both had a chance of not working. And you decided to drop them on a populace anyway. You decided, despite the statistical probabilities of failure, you went ahead with the mission. So there was a chance that attempting to drop the bombs on a strategic asset still wouldn't have worked. Still would not have, the bomb still wouldn't have detonated. So what the fuck? In the sense where you tell them to clear out an area and say, hey, look at this area, nobody there, watch it for a couple months. And in the sense where you drop both on a populace with, quote, strategic assets, both of those cases have a chance, a discrete chance of the bombs not working. So what does it matter if one would have worked or not the other? It doesn't matter, because in both cases there's a chance that they wouldn't have worked. So the the decision to drop it on a populace cannot be a function of whether they would work, because they would work or not work based on their own intrinsic properties, not on where they were dropped, not on, oh shit, it's not like the bomb knows. The bomb's like, oh, I really want to kill some Japanese right now. And like, if they try to drop me on some unpopulated area, oh dude, I'm just so not down for that right now. I'm just going to not detonate. It doesn't know. The chance of not working is the same over Hiroshima as it is over some vacant field of rice paddies or whatever. Same. So they could have done it. And I want to know why. Was it like, fuck it, now if you can make the argument, again, historical buffs, people that actually know history, not what I was taught in high school. But the feeling I got was the Japanese just wouldn't stop. They just would not stop. And if we have to cut the heart out of two of their major metropolitan areas, well, we might have to do that because they just won't stop. Hitler stopped. We got him. Woohoo! Mission accomplished. But the Japanese just won't stop. And if that's the case, all right. But I still think I don't even remember hearing anything, even the idea of, should we drop this? Should we tell them to look at an unpopulated area or not? The discussion always was, let's just kill people with this awesome firepower that we believe we have. And it's just, wow. All right. The bloodlust of America, that's kind of sobering. All right, let's do a little news, shall we? Do a little news. Got a lot to talk about today. The police in Atlanta actually serving a no-knock warrant critically burned a toddler. The U.S. House of Representatives votes to end legal DEA raids on medical marijuana facilities, and an Oakland high school guard charged with abuse of a student in a wheelchair. So I've got a dog in this fight. Let's get into the news with Lefty. So this is from WSBTV.com from Atlanta. The mother of the toddler told, the headline is Toddler Critically Burned During SWAT Raid. The mother of the toddler told Channel 2 Action News Friday morning that the boy remains in a medically induced coma. He is in a medically induced coma, and he is paralyzed. I hope he's not going to remember this. I know his sisters, his mommy, and his daddy will never forget this. The boy's mother, Alicia, hold on a sec. Let me think this out. Fonasavan? Alicia Fonasavan said. That's my best. That's the best you're getting. Our kids, quote, our kids have been through enough this year. This is just more trauma, and more trauma that they didn't need, and I just wish there was something better I could do to make it better for him. I just wish there was something better I could do to make it better for him. Wrong place, wrong time. There's nothing I can do about it. The family's home in Wisconsin recently burned down, prompting their trip to Atlanta to visit family. There's nothing we can do to change the situation. My husband and I would gladly both give up our lives just to see him not like this. He's such a happy little boy. And to see him like this, laying there, not moving, it's heartbreaking. We just want to hold him, and we can't. A family says SWAT team raided their home in the middle of the night and seriously injured a 19-month-old boy with a stun grenade. Alicia Fonasavan told Channel 2's Ryan Young her child is at the Grady Memorial Hospital burn unit and is in a medically induced coma. Fonasavan said she was at her sister-in-law's home in Habersham County early Wednesday when police raided the house. And it continues, Cornelia Police Chief Rick Darby confirmed that the raid took place at the home just before 3 a.m. He said a multi-jurisdictional drug unit issued a warrant and organized the SWAT operation. Deputies said they bought drugs from the house and came back with a no-knock warrant to arrest a man known to have drugs and weapons. So, and it was more the police chief justifying the no-knock warrant. And here's the thing. The issue isn't police brutality. I mean, because when flashing and clearing a room is a police procedure. I mean, if you want to take a hostile territory, or you want to take a hostile thing, somebody, a building, throwing a flashbang into a room, stunning the people, and then going in and doing whatever it is you do is a tactic. That's what that's not, there was nothing egregious here. But the problem was that when you just throw a flashbang into somebody's house, and the issue here is the no-knock warrant. Because in America, the Fourth Amendment, blah, 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 warrant, you have to have a warrant or probable cause if you want to search a house. But what the police have started doing a long time ago, it's not just like now, but with a militarized police force, the police really want to get you. They want to, oh my God, they got little dicks or something, and so they want to put on the fucking body armor and fucking in the $10,000 AR-15 with all the fucking magazines and the flashbangs and stuff, and they want to pretend like they're the big swinging dick rolling through Afghanistan, rolling through Baghdad. They want to pretend like they're like, yeah, or maybe they were fucking dickless assholes who actually went to Afghanistan or something and were murdering innocent brown people. Who knows, right? But now they're back in America and they can't wait to put on that fucking body armor. And, oh my God, yeah. Can't do what you do it. Oh my God, yes. Fucking freedom. So what they do is as a way to play soldier again, they said, well, here's what we need to do. Sometimes we can't give bad guys the chance to ready themselves by knocking on the door and announcing that we're police. That's the standard procedure. Is you say, you knock and you announce yourself as police, we have a warrant. You give them a chance to let you into the house because you have to assume innocent until proven guilty, right? You can't assume that as you announce yourself as a police, a guy's grabbing a shotgun, readying himself at the door to kill your ass. You give people a chance, you knock on the door, say, police, we have a warrant, so that they can open the door, say, hey, how you going? All right, come on in. Here you go. Serve your warrant. Go ahead and do it. But the police said, no, we can't do that. And the big thing they started applying it to was apparently drugs. Apparently drug criminals are the most violent of criminals. And they say, we can't knock. So what we do is we get a no-knock warrant, and we just break into your fucking house. We just throw flashbangs, kick in the door, and we come in and get you. And that's just what we have to do. We don't give you an opportunity to open the door. We don't give you an opportunity to call a lawyer or anything. We just kick in the fucking door, take your shit, whatever, put you on the ground, handcuff you, shoot you if you try to defend yourself, shoot your dog if you have a dog and it starts barking. We fucking shoot it, and bam, we're the big swinging dicks in Afghanistan again. And this time it backfired because there was a fucking toddler. They threw a flashbang in, scorched the toddler, and he's left paralyzed now in a medically induced coma. Can we stop with no-knock fucking warrants? And again, this wasn't a guy who was violent. This wasn't a guy who had professed a willingness to kill police. This wasn't a guy who had done anything. This wasn't a violent criminal. This was a guy, they had bought drugs from the house, and they said, well, maybe he's got weapons. Or shit, even if we know he's got a handgun, so now we get a no-knock warrant to come in and bust his shit up. That's where we're at. If you have a warrant, if you have a weapon, that is enough for police to assume that you will be violent towards them. And that gives them enough to get a no-knock warrant and just bust in your door and come and get you. And what? Huh? Really? It's because here's the deal. And this is a larger issue, not just no-knock warrants. Police, and I say this a lot, but I'll never tire of saying it, police are supposed to be abused. Police are supposed to get shot at and killed. That's their job. They are supposed to be they're supposed to be that filter between society and the justice system. The judicial system. That's their job. They're supposed to be out there on the front lines with society dealing with their shit. That is what that badge, the gun, and the arrest power, we're not equal with police. We're not. They have more power. Their word in a court of law means more than yours. It just does. And similarly, if you assault them, that's much different than just assaulting some other guy and some other woman, guy, whatever, on the street. Much different. Apparently, unless you shout racial epithets while you're doing it. Then it changes the game. But it's all you got it all backwards. The police have the gun, the badge, and the arrest power. They're supposed to deal with people spitting at them. They're supposed to deal with people coming after them. And they have duties, not us. They have the duty to retreat and retreat and retreat. And only then draw down. And only then use some kind of force. Just assuming that somebody may or may not be violent should not be enough for the guys with the badges, the guns, and the arrest power to just start breaking into your shit and fucking things up. But they've twisted it and say, well, we need to protect ourselves. No. You are supposed to take abuse. That is one of your functions. If not explicitly stated in your charter, one of your functions is to take abuse from a society. And that means you are in danger more than anybody else. You don't get to just protect yourself. You don't get the porcelain fucking body armor and the AR-15s. If somebody else has a bigger, badder gun than you, well, tough shit. You signed up being a cop. You knew it was dangerous. You knew you were supposed to be abused. That's one of your functions. But lobbying and constant crying from police officers has arrived us to a point where they've all got AR-15s in their cars at $10,000 a pop, 15, with all the bells and whistles. And they cannot wait to put that shit on. To put on the body armor, to put on the stuff that you would find in a military, and to ride on that military vehicle and go get to play soldier again. Because they don't like being police, just police. When you're a soldier is different from being a cop. Because then you're just in a war zone and you're just shooting people. The police in America have become so militarized that they care not whether there's even they don't care that there could be an innocent child in the house, innocent people in general. They don't give a fuck. You're guilty, and we're just going to break down your door, throw in flashbangs, and come and kill you, or arrest you, or kill your dog, etc. All because we have to defend ourselves. No. Your badge, arrest power, and gun are proof positive that you're supposed to take abuse. More of you are supposed to die than us. That's the way it's supposed to work. But effective lobbying and appeals to emotion have flipped the script. Now they cry, well, we need to be protected, so we could just throw flashbangs in to somebody that may or may not have a weapon and assume they're going to be violent. On a fucking drug warrant. To try to find drugs. The war on drugs, it's just such bullshit. Now, here's the deal. BuzzFeed has a story. The House of Representatives votes to end DEA raids on legal medical marijuana operations. This is from Washington. The House passed an amendment late Thursday night to restrict the Drug Enforcement Administration from targeting medical marijuana operations in states where it is legal. The 219 to 189 decision came on a bipartisan appropriations amendment spearheaded by California Republican, Representative Dana, Rohrabacher, and California Democrat Sam Farr. The amendment still faces several procedural hurdles before it is ratified, but this is the first time such an amendment has succeeded in the House. The vote is an encouraging one for marijuana advocates who say it shows the congressional pendulum is finally hitting in their favor. Quote, the significance of it is a symbolic importance, said Dan Riffle, Director of Federal Policies at the Marijuana Policy Project. We are nearing a point now where the United States Congress is essentially ready to end marijuana prohibition. The amendment needed 218 votes to pass. You know, Dan Riffle, you say We are nearing a point now where the United States Congress is essentially ready to end marijuana prohibition. You know, I'm not a political operator. I'm not a DC insider or anything like that. I know generally how all our stuff is supposed to work, and it would appear to me that in the House of Representatives, which was traditionally designed to be a more volatile, the more volatile of the two houses of Congress, to be the more radical one. That's where a lot of radical bills and laws and all the same thing, but that's where a lot of radical ideas come from, is the House of Representatives. It's meant to be a more finger on the pulse of society. That was its intention with the House of Representatives. That's why they serve shorter terms, and that's why there's more of them. Representatives, that is. And it would appear to me that if the supposedly more radical House of Congress with, quote, bipartisan support merely passed a supposed amendment that would restrict the Drug Enforcement Agency's ability to perform raids on legal medical marijuana facilities, if that only passed by one vote, they're really not that ready. You know, as cool as it is that all these states are saying, fuck that, smoke pot if you want to. You know, the medical marijuana shit is kind of, you know, it's like a tease, because now you're going to fake illness to get high, and you got to go lie to a doctor and lie to get a prescription, which may not seem weird, but think about doing it if you did it for codeine. Right? And a lot of people don't have a problem with people lying to get pot in a state where medical marijuana is legal. But think about this. Imagine if you complain to a doctor about back pain that you don't really have, all to get codeine or hydrocodone. Is that something you want people doing? Is that like, huh? Think about it. But it's really cool that, you know, the state of Colorado, California is moving this way. I believe Massachusetts as well. All these states are finally, like, first of all, asserting their rights as sovereign states and saying, fuck that. Fuck you, federal government. You've got no say in what our citizens do. No say. No. Get your Commerce Clause bullshit out of here. Get it out of here. We get to decide. We, the sovereign state of Colorado, get to decide what the citizens of Colorado are able to do. What the citizens of California, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We get to decide what we can do because we are the sovereign state. You, federal government, exist because of us. And you don't get to tell us what we can and cannot do. This is not an enumerated power. The ability to legislate what our citizens can put into their bodies is not one of the things that you get to do based on all this stuff we signed. This little club rule set that we got going on here. That's for us to decide, and we're going to decide for it, and go fuck yourself. And I like that. Good. But the federal government has said, fuck you. No, we're going to go in and just start raiding you because the federal government, for some reason, has a say in whether you smoke pot. Did the federal government having a say in whether you consumed alcohol, what was it, 90 years ago, almost 100 years ago? Did that work out? Did we kind of look back on that and say, you know, maybe we shouldn't have done that. That was probably not the best idea. Maybe, and of course, there was a legal argument for it too. It's like, well, the federal government doesn't have a say in this. The federal government does not have a say in the prohibition of alcohol. That was bullshit. Repeal. Not cool. But somehow, the DEA is just fine executing raids on medical marijuana facilities in states where medical marijuana is legal. Fuck, recreational marijuana is legal. And they just raid you and say, we're the DEA, federal, blah, 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 blah. No. States' rights. The sovereign of Colorado says we want this. And they're going to get it because in instances where the powers are not specifically delegated to the federal government, the states get to say what's up. That's right there. It's in the fucking thing. It's in the top 10 rules. It's in the top 10. top 10 specific rules says if this document doesn't tell you what the federal government is supposed to do, the states get to decide. And state of Colorado and other states said, well, our citizens can smoke pot, get high. Fuck it. But the federal government is clinging to some bullshit, probably because there's a whole lot of things. A lot of people might be wondering, why would the federal government care so much about people in Colorado or people in California with medical problems getting high? Why would they care? Why do they continue to do it? Why not just say, okay, go on about your business? Here's why. Because when you start saying, when the federal government says, yeah, you're right, state of Colorado, we don't have the authority to govern that. There's a whole lot of things that the federal government now has authority over that would be called into question. Now there's a whole lot of things that all of a sudden the federal government has to answer a lot of questions that it may not like to answer about what it has the authority to do and not do. So it's not as simple as, I wish it was as simple as the prohibition of marijuana, fucking marijuana. It's not as bad. It's at least as bad as alcohol. And on some levels it is. Just say no longer is this prohibited. But in the sense of what does the federal government have the sovereign authority to do, when you start saying, no, we, the state of Colorado, despite what the federal government says is illegal, we say that it's legal, and you cannot come in here and start enforcing federal laws on our sovereign territory. That's part of our agreement. And if the federal government says okay to that and says, yeah, all right, I suppose you're right, then on down the line are potentially a whole bunch of things that the federal government may not have the authority to govern. For instance, one thing that comes to mind, civil rights. The Civil Rights Act. What if the state of Alabama says, no, our citizens want the ability to deny housing based on race. They want that ability. That is now legal in the state of Alabama. States' rights. States' rights is a very complicated issue, and it's really wrapped up. It's a really wrapped up and convoluted thing, but there is an issue of states' rights here at play in the medical marijuana and even recreational marijuana. The legalization of marijuana, that whole issue. States' rights. It's about the prohibition of controlled substances. It's about what you, as an individual citizen with all these liberties, have the right to put in your body. It's about the hypocrisy of you're going to legalize and tax the shit out of alcohol, which kills thousands of people a year, and medical and not even medical marijuana, but marijuana is at worst as bad as alcohol in terms of health ramifications. But it's all of that. But in this specific instance, the House of Representatives voting narrowly. This isn't like, yaha time, woohoo, pot legalization is just around the corner. They needed 219 votes, or 218 votes to get this thing passed in the most volatile house, in the most radical house of Congress that's supposed to be more progressive. And they just passed by one vote. So while it's great, while it's nice, it's like, ooh, all right, cool. It's not. That's a pretty thin margin. That's a pretty thin margin for the most progressive House of Congress. All right, one last story before we wrap up the show. An Oakland High guard charged in abuse of a student in a wheelchair. This is from sfgate.com, Dateline Oakland. An Oakland high school security guard has been fired and charged with child abuse after allegedly handcuffing, punching, and dumping a student out of his wheelchair, school officials say Thursday. Marshall Mitchell, 23, and a second school resource officer at Oakland High School were urging students who were running late to go to class about 9 a.m. May 19th. Mitchell encountered freshman Francisco Martinez, who has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair, officials said. Mitchell ordered the student to move toward his next class, but the student, quote, either refused to comply or was slow to do so. Principal Martin Abdel Kawi wrote in a letter to parents. Mitchell then took the handles of Martinez's wheelchair. Mitchell is the security guard, by the way. Martinez's wheelchair and pushed him towards class, prompting Martinez to object and try to slap away the guard's hands, officials said. Mitchell then handcuffed Martinez and continued to roll him, and the student turned around in his wheelchair and spat in Mitchell's face, authorities said. The security officer then struck the student several times before dumping him from his wheelchair onto the floor, at which time another security officer intervened to restrain his partner. Holy fucking shit. Oakland Schools police investigated the incident and arrested Mitchell. Alameda County prosecutors have charged him with inflicting corporal injury to a child, a felony. He is free on $10,000 bail and is to appear in Superior Court in Oakland on June 16. Holy fucking shit. I mean, look, I made an argument. There was a kindergarten student that choked a 6-year-old child, and I made it. I opened up the idea. I didn't say it was okay. Some people assumed that I said it was okay, but I made the case that it is possible, not that it is, but it is possible that, again, not okay, but in some way you could understand a situation in which a middle-aged teacher who has to deal with 6-year-old humans all fucking day has had enough of this little shitbag. It's possible that while the actions are not permissible, it's possible that you can have a connection with that school teacher on a level in which, you know, there's a scenario in which that kid was just a little shitbag. And this woman had just had enough, right? It wasn't, maybe the kid wasn't completely benevolent. And the teacher's just, you little motherfucker. And you could have a personal connection with the teacher on that level and say, you know what, I might do the same thing. Not permissible, but maybe not as bad as some people make it out to be. Now, here we have, you know, the guy was originally, the security guard was being a dick, okay? Because somebody that is confined in a wheelchair, again, this isn't like a legal thing, but it seems to me that grabbing the wheelchair is essentially grabbing them. It's the same thing. Grabbing the handles to move some. If I don't know you and I'm in a wheelchair, I'm not really in a wheelchair, but if you come up to me and start pushing me, it would be the same as if I had the use of my legs, or if I was not confined to a wheelchair and you just come up and actually grab me, my person, my body, and start pushing me. I don't know if that's true in the legal sense, but that just seems to me that's how I look at it. So here comes a guy, the guy's like, go to class, and for whatever reason, Martinez didn't want to do it or was too slow for his liking. And so the guy grabbed the handles and started pushing him. Now, was it a gentle push? Probably not. It was probably you get the fuck to class, right? And then the guy, the kid who was being touched, again, this is the way I look at things, was being touched, tried to slap the officer's hands away, or not the fucking security guard, the rent-a-cop, not a fucking officer, fuck you, the rent-a-cop's hand away. And as a result, said, in a sense, stop fucking touching me. Perfectly reasonable, right? Somebody's touching you. You don't want them touching you. You're going to say, stop touching me, as you try to remove their touch. Duh. And in response to that, this fucking rent-a-cop asshole handcuffed the kid. Why you give a rent-a-cop fucking handcuffs in a school? It is Oakland, I guess. But still, so this guy handcuffed him. And in response to the handcuffing, after saying, don't touch me, Martinez spit in this cop's face. And then it just went from there. And then you started punching a kid with cerebral palsy and dumped him from his wheelchair. Now, they're both wrong. They're both wrong. The kid with cerebral palsy is not without culpability here. You just accept it, okay? Disability does not mean you can't do something wrong. If you're in a wheelchair, I don't care. You can be just as fucked up and guilty of things as any normal able-bodied person. Differently abled my ass. You're disabled, okay? But you can do just as fucked up shit and be just as culpable. Morally, ethically, legally, whatever. Now, this kid Martinez spitting in the rent-a-cop's face was wrong. That's not going to do anything. That's not going to stop him from doing whatever it is that he's doing to you. That's not a reasonable response to try to remove whatever's going on. Spitting in somebody's face, it's just not that. It's just you being a fucking asshole. Now, again, this Mitchell character, asshole, first of all, what are you doing grabbing a kid in a wheelchair and pushing him? Was he going to shoot somebody? What does he do? He's late to class. So what? You have detention, don't you? Tardy slips, whatever the fuck it is. You don't need to grab the kid via the wheelchair, but again, wheelchair is him. You don't need to grab the kid and start pushing him. You also don't need to handcuff him once he says, "Don't touch me." So you're the fucking asshole too. And you know what? What are you going to do? Forget all that, okay? Forget all of it. What are you going to do when somebody spits in your face? Okay? It does not matter how you got to that point. Up until that point, it was nonviolent. What are you going to do when somebody spits in your face? Are you going to beat the shit out of them? Are you going to care that they're in a wheelchair or have cerebral palsy? If they spit in your face, are you going to care? No, you're not going to fucking care. Now you're a rent-a-cop in a school and the kid has cerebral palsy and you were just being an asshole. Now bring it all back in, right? Now you're a fucking asshole. Yeah, spit in my face, I'm going to kick his ass. But why was he spitting in your face? Oh, because you were a shithead. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's wrong. So they were both wrong. And this Mitchell guy is arrested on a felony charge. That's pretty hefty shit right there. I mean, I don't know how egregious the beating was. Could have been a real severe thing. If it is, all right. But here's my final wrap-up thought. You're a security guard at a school, right? So you're probably involved, in the security of the school. So you know on some level what the security systems of the school are. If the school has security cameras to detail everything that goes on in the school, now this is Oakland, keep in mind, not the greatest area in the world, and you probably know, as a security guard in a school in Oakland, you probably know the security cameras. More so, you probably know where they're at and where they're pointed. Because you have to. It's part of your job as a security guard, being involved with the security of the school. You know where the cameras are and where they're pointed. You just know. How do you get caught beating the shit out of somebody on camera if you know where the cameras are and you know where they're pointed? You know, like, oh man, I'm in this hallway. I'm in hallway 4B facing east. I know there's a camera pointed down the length of this hallway. Now here's this kid being an asshole to me, and I really want to punch him. I really want to beat the shit out of this kid. But I should know at least, if I don't suck dick at my job, I should know that there's a camera facing down the length of this hallway. And if I want to beat the shit out of this kid, I should take him to a spot where there aren't any cameras and then beat the shit out of him. And then it's my word against his. But this didn't appear to happen. This guy was just like, fuck you, I'm beating the shit out of you. Probably not the greatest security guard. So when he goes to jail and he's not guarding the children's safety at this Oakland high school, they're probably going to have somebody in that position that's just a little bit better at their job. So the next time they do try to beat the shit out of an unruly student, they're going to do it where there aren't any cameras. All right, let's bring it home. Woo! Another successful Lefty show. Thank you all for joining me. We wrap up the Lefty Show episode number 25. Thank you to everybody that's been with the show for 25 episodes. Hope to bring you many, many, many more. Thank you to everybody for watching on YouTube, liking, favoriting, and subscribing right now. It really helps me out. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show with your friends, your family, your co-workers. You really do help the show grow, and I thank you for continuing to do that. Thank you to everybody that's donating right now. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. There's a link in the description if you want to help out with studio costs, hosting costs, all that stuff. Go to I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. Also a link in the description. PKA later tonight. It will be hopefully up on Saturday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Until next time, I'm your host, Lefty. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. That's my time. I got to get out of here. I'm out. Bye.
got AIDS.